All right, so today I will be talking about the Young Turk Revolution. All right. All right, some background, just kind of feeding into how the revolution kind of started, kind of what sparked it. So basically, during the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was experiencing a bit of a decline as its territory shrunk and it kind of found itself disconnected from the European Western world. It wasn't as modern and lacked social reforms and industrialization to an extent. The Tanzimat was a period of reform in the Ottoman Empire to solve this, and this began around in 1839. The Ottoman Empire, they had a diverse population, and the Tanzimat reforms encouraged Ottomanism among these diverse ethnic groups in the Ottoman Empire, and the empire basically attempted to begin sort of a wave of a rise of nationalism in the Ottoman Empire. Some of these reforms included more religious freedom and keeping in pace with the European Western world, reorganization of the Ottoman army. The traditional Ottoman army, called the Janissaries, had declined in terms of military prestige, and a European-influenced reconstruction was a necessary change to be made. The Ottoman Empire was made up of a multitude of different cultures, and the secondary priorities of the Tanzimat reforms were basically aimed at balancing the social structure that previously favored Muslim subjects. Also, in addition, the Tanzimat also aimed at drawing power away from the Sultan and into a parliamentary body, which was kind of in line with more of the democratic ideas coming from the European Western world. So about the Ottoman constitution, again, in trying to fit in better with modern European society, in 1876, the Ottoman Constitution was drafted and implemented, but in 1878, Abdul Hamid II, who was the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire at the time, repealed the Ottoman Constitution and dismantled the Ottoman Parliament following the Russo-Turkish War, which discontinued further democratic elections in the Ottoman Empire. This basically made the Ottoman Empire an absolute monarchy, with Abdul Hamid II being the leading monarch. And those in the Ottoman Empire who didn't agree with this conspired, and they were conspiring against the Ottoman monarchy, they felt pressure from the Ottoman monarchy in fear of being persecuted, and so they fled the empire to places such as Paris and Switzerland. So kind of the beginning of the revolution. All those who were vocally against the government, the Ottoman Empire, were labeled as the Young Turks, or referred to themselves as the Young Turks. One notable faction, which I'll get into a little bit later, of the Young Turks was the Committee of Union and Progress. Basically, the Young Turks organization was founded in 1889 by a group of people, Ibrahim Timo, Dr. Mehmed Razid, Abdullah Tsevet, Ishaq Sukudi, Ali Hussein Zaid, Karim Sebati, Micheli Sabri, Dr. Mehmed Nazim, Serafatine Mahmoumi, Sivdet Osman, and Gritli Safik. And all of these people who started the Young Turks organization were medical students. It began as a liberal reform movement, and the organization was persecuted and forced to exile by Abdul Hamid II's autocratic government, basically because of its calls for democratization and secularization and reform in the empire. All those who opposed the current Ottoman Empire congregated in Paris to form the first Congress of the Ottoman opposition. And although the Young Turks were in agreement that democratization was required for the idea of national unity among the ethnic groups in the Ottoman Empire, they did disagree on further reform. Basically, the liberals of the organization, led by Prince Sabahattin, pushed for more autonomy of the different ethnic groups, while Unionists wished for an Ottoman Empire dominated by the Turks. All right, next slide. So, with the revolution, it primarily started in June of 1908. There was a meeting in the Baltic port of Reval between Edward the Seventh of the United Kingdom and Nicholas II of Russia, and this was meant to. There wasn't any anger on either side, but they just meant to revolve some tensions around territorial disputes. During this meeting, Russia declared control of Persia and Afghanistan, which put territorial pressure on the shrinking borders of the Ottoman Empire. And this also, basically, those in the Ottoman Empire who controlled the Third Army feared that the meeting was a precursor to the partition of Macedonia and mutinied against Sultan Abdul Hamid II. The revolutionaries in the Third Army were then motivated to preserve the state. Abdul Hamid II saw revolutionaries forming in the Ottoman Third Army, and so in reaction, he starved the army of funds and inserted secret agents to stop the impending revolt. By the beginning, starting in July 1908, Unionists within the Third Army fled to the mountains surrounding Salonika, which is in present-day Greece, to organize guerrilla bands of volunteers and deserters, all the while pressuring Abdul Hamid to reinstate the constitution. Overall, the uprising was a success. The revolutionaries who were part of the Ottoman Army, Ottoman Third Army, and those who were stationed in the Balkans were quickly informed of the revolution taking place. Those in the Balkans formed their own battalions to oppose the Sultan, and because of this, the rebellion spread rapidly across the Ottoman Empire, and on July 23rd, 1908, Abdul Hamid II found himself overwhelmed with all the rebellion and accepted the demands of the revolutionaries. So, with the reform came a couple different things. On July 24th, 1908, Sultan Abdul Hamid II reinstated the Ottoman Constitution that was repealed in 1878, revising the Constitution to be sure the Parliament obtained the power, and this started the Ottoman Empire's second constitutional era. After the revolution, power was informally shared between the palace, being Abdul Hamid, and the central government of the Ottoman Empire, as well as the Committee of Union and Progress. The first Ottoman general election of the second constitutional era took place during November and December of 1908. The candidates backed by the Committee of Union and Progress won 60 seats in the parliament, winning a majority. After the democratization of the Ottoman Empire, new political parties that were once a secret during the absolute monarchy reign were able to become publicly vocal. The major parties consisted of the Committee of Union and Progress, the Liberty Party, and the Freedom and Accord Party. There were also an emergence of ethnic parties, being the Ottoman Empire was so diverse, and this included the People's Federative Party, which is a Bulgarian section, the Bulgarian Constitutional Clubs, Jewish Social Democratic Labor Party in Palestine, and Al-Fatah, and Armenians organized under Armenakan, Hanchakian, and the Armenian Revolutionary Federation. So the Sultan, Abdulhamid, maintained his throne by conceding its existence as a symbolic position, but in April of 1909, he attempted to seize power once again by stirring populist sentiment through the empire. The Sultan was able to gain traction by promising to restore the Ottoman Caliphate, establishing a Sharia-based legal system and abolishing many of the secular policies put in place by the Constitution and Parliament. But after gaining little popularity, the uprising was easily squashed by the Ottoman Action Army in 1909, and a movement to depose the Sultan began. All right, there is my bibliography, and thank you.